What's good, guys? It is I once again. How's everybody doing? As a long-time comic reader, since the bright young age of 10, I have been witness to a lot of great moments in comic book history. And not too long ago, your boy was sitting in bed one day, just chilling, and I started thinking about some moments in comics that just, no matter how many times I go back and read it, I still enjoy it. And at the same time, always wished that it actually happened live action as well. And one of those moments came in the fact of JMS's Thor run. Now, if you remember, back in 2006, Marvel gave us, to me, one of my most hated story arcs in comics, Civil War. Yes, people, I do not like Civil War. Never liked it. And what I thought was going to be the heroes of Marvel going against the government turned into something different. Whereas hero versus hero, throw away 40 to 20 years of friendship with these characters, break up teams, and now you're fighting against each other, and certain characters are on one side and other characters on the other side. When we saw, and it was during that time that we saw Cap have one side and Iron Man have the other side, and this was by far at the time when a lot of people that I can recall in my circle, definitely I remember hating Iron Man, never liking him, because they just felt like he was being a complete fool, a complete tool. Some other explicit words that I'm not going to use. There's certain things that he did that you just didn't like. Then, after Civil War, JMS and Olivia Coppel, if I'm saying his name right, Oliver Coppel, great artist, returned to Thor, one of my favorite Marvel heroes of all time. Thor brings him back after Ragnarok, because Thor was missing for a while. No, that was not Thor in Civil War. That was his clone, Ragnarok. And during this time, Thor was still on the quest to find the other Asgardians. They all have been, their souls were transferred into mortals, and Thor was finding them. He also brought Asgard back, and Asgard was hovering over Oklahoma. I forget which city in Oklahoma. But at this time, in issue number 3 of JMS's run, we got a moment in that comic that still to this day I fucking love. It never ever gets tired of reading. So, what moment was this? When Thor humiliated Tony. Legitimately humiliated, humbled his ass. So Thor is in New Orleans. And he's actually in New Orleans during Katrina, which is crazy. And he's searching for gods as well. And here comes Tony. And he's trying to buddy up to Thor. Hey, Thor, it's great to see you. Did a long time no see. And you can look on Thor's face. Oliver Coppel's artwork just showing Thor's like disdain of him, just like, you motherfucker, like, just like, what are you doing here? Now, if you all know the Avengers, and if you've been reading the Avengers as long as I have, you know that Thor was always tight with Cap. They were like this. You know, Thor has always said to Cap, "You are the one mortal that I'd go to the ends of the earth for." His relationship with Tony was always very not so good in a sense. But here we go. Then basically Tony is saying, look, there's a registration act. You know, the government's scared of you, a little scared of what's Asgard doing in Oklahoma. You got to register, all this nonsense. And you could just see the storms are coming. The lightning's coming. And he's getting angry. You see he didn't even clinch Mjolnir. And what I loved about the way they drew what they had with Thor, he always had Mjolnir on his back, which he never had it on his side. He had it like almost like a sword. Like he would have her right here. And you could see him, he about to clinch Mjolnir. And Thor just flips the fuck out. Just showing him his power, and he's going down on, and I shouldn't, let me rephrase that because that just didn't sound right. And he's basically just belittling Tony, like, you did this, you broke up friendships, you did this, and the cardinal sin, you took my being and created that monstrosity. Tony is, you could see it, that the armor may not show his facial expression, but the body posture, you could tell Tony was shook. And Tony, he has no other choice but to fight. And he hits Thor, which you would think the most powerful unibeam that he's ever thrown at anybody. What happens? My man Thor didn't even flinch. Took it. He ate it. Looked at him and was like, almost like, that's all you got? Okay. And then gone on to whoop Stark's ass. And at that point in time, when I'm reading that, you better believe this was 2000. What was this? Early 2000. I'm like 20. Reading that, you best believe your boy was like, get him, Thor. Get him. And Thor beats the living shit out of him. And to the point, Thor has him up like this. He's joking him, and he's just like, he almost basically says, he goes, tell your masters that I will bow down to no one, including you. All that, he's just humbling him. And I'm loving every minute of it when I'm reading this, guys. And at one point, Tony says, I don't know if I can't fly. My armor's been pretty much destroyed. And what does Thor say? What does Thor say to him? Then fucking walk. Well, he didn't say that, but he said walk. What a moment. Just showcasing where Tony is on a power scale with Thor was perfect. And at that point, it was also a great moment because this was at a time, anytime a hero returned to Earth at this point, Tony would be coming and confronting that hero. I remember when Nova came back and he's telling, Tony, and Tony's telling him, look, you got to register. Your strength level is at a level that is dangerous and all that. And, he's telling Nova about who Peter Parker was, and Peter did, this is at a time when Peter had revealed himself. Every time I was just like, look at this look at this dude. But when Thor came back, and it was the best feeling in the world. It really was. And there are parts, and there are moments when I read that. The last time I read that issue of Thor, went back and reread it, That was like 3 months ago. I actually went back. I pulled it out of my box and read it again, just to have fun with it, just to love reading that again. And then I'm thinking about it, and I'm saying to myself, man, I really wish we had gotten that kind of live action. In a sense, I would have loved to see that. But unfortunately, the Thor that I love from the comics is not the same as the Thor from the MCU. And the Iron Man from the comics is not as much the Iron Man that was in the MCU. So, yeah. But I still would have loved to seen it. But at the same time, people ask me, what's one of your favorite moments in comic books? Doesn't matter what company. And I always give that moment. I say, oh, that's easy. When Thor humbled Iron Man. When Thor beat the snot out of Iron Man. And there's some people that don't get it. And I gotta tell them, look, Thor was always closer to Cap. They felt more like brothers. To Thor, Tony was like that third child that nobody really cared about, or just was annoying in a sense. Thor was not a big fan of, especially when Thor became more humbling himself, he wasn't really a big fan of how Iron Man carried himself, you know. And that was something that I can respect about Thor. But at the same time, it was such a great moment. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It is probably one of my top 20 favorite moments in comics. It's up there. I think it's up in the top 20 or top 10. But it's up there. It was great. Just to see, like, Thor wasn't even singed or phased from that unibeam. Nothing. He just stood there. He ate it. He tanked it. It was just so great. And so, yeah, man. Guys, I just had to talk about that for a minute. Like, I know there are sometimes you guys do ask me that question on Q&As and stuff, but at the same time, it was great. It was one of my favorite moments, man. It really was. Did you guys like it, or did you not like it? I'd like to know. I'd like to hear from you guys about that. Was that a great moment, or were you just like, it was okay? To me, it's one of my favorites. Depending on how if I get a lot of comments and we spark up some conversations, yeah, maybe I'll continue this. This is a trial right now. But in the meantime, you guys take care, and I will see you guys next time.